श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषपूरो गणामतिः सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्ते नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नमो धर्माय महदे नमः कृष्णाय वेदसे ब्राह्मणेभ्यो नमस्कृत्य धर्मान् वक्ष्यामि शाश्वतान्। नमो भगवते तस्मै व्यासाय तदेश्रियस्य प्रसादात् वक्ष्यामि नारायणकथामिमां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। Previously we were looking in Drona Parva. After Drona's death, Ashwatthama releases that Narayana Astra which Krishna baffles. Then when Duryodhana urges him, Ashwatthama releases the Agneya weapon against. After defeating all the Pandava warriors, he goes after Arjuna, and Arjuna was faced with this Agneya weapon, and that Agneya weapon burns full Akshoni of Pandava troops, and Krishna and Arjuna were completely covered by that fire. And when that Agni was burning like that, finally Arjuna releases Brahmastra, and through that Brahmastra he baffles that Agni weapon. And then when all these things clear, Ashwatthama sees Krishna and Arjuna still standing there, even though they were completely covered by Agni fire like that for some time, and it burned the entire Akshoni and Akshoni of the troops. Still, Krishna and Arjuna survived that. Seeing that, Ashwatthama runs away and he leaves the battlefield and he goes to Saraswati river banks. There he sees Vyasa and he asks Vyasa, this Agni weapons was supposed to burn. Nobody is there who could resist that weapon, and it should have burnt Arjuna and Krishna, but they survived this. What is this? Is it my fault in invoking that weapon? I did something wrong. I did not invoke it properly, or is it the weapon itself is not capable of doing it, or is it Krishna and Arjuna has got something special? What is it? Why it did not work? Or is it just the destiny? It never supposed to happen. So what is it? So Vyasa then says that there is a highly significant in this whatever you asked. So it is from surprise whatever you are asking. That is the matter is very highly significant here. I will tell you everything. Listen carefully. Like this, Vyasa starts his narration and explanation of why Krishna and Arjuna survived, and he says that yoso Narayano nama purvesham api purvaja ajayata cha karyartam putro dharmasya vishwakrita. So he says, I'm going to read some of the Sanskrit shlokas as well here, because this, as I said last time, this part of Drona Parva is known as Shata-Rudriyam. So it is explaining Rudra's hundreds of forms. Okay, so, and it is one of the sacred chapters in entire Mahabharata. So listening to Sanskrit shlokas, originals, is important. So I'm going to read some of them as we go along, because English is not going to, whatever we translate, is not going to give the full meaning, and also it's not going to give the same it's not going to be the same. So I'm going to read wherever I can some of the shlokas. Okay, so Vyasa says that he that is known as Narayana, the older than the old age of Purvesham api Purvaja. So he says that the older than the oldest one, that Narayana, he is the one, he is called Narayana, and for accomplishing some purpose, Ajayata Karyartam Putro Dharmasya Vishakrata. So for accomplishing some purpose, the creator of this universe took his birth as son of Dharma, Dharma's son. He was born as Dharma's son. And on the mountain of Himalaya, he underwent severe ascetic austerities. He says that Urdhvahur Mahateja Jwalanaditya Sannibha. So he was endued with energy and resembling like Agni himself, Jwalana, so fire himself, and Surya, so Jalana Aditya Sambhava. So he's looking like Surya splendor, and he stood there with Urdhvahu, raising his arm upraised like this. He stood there, and possessed of having lotus eyes like lotus petals. He enunciated himself there for 66,000 years. Like that, he stood like that, doing austerities and subsisting only on air and nothing else. He took at that time 66,000 years. And then once more undergoing severe austerities, another kind for twice that number of period. So 66 he went previously, now he goes twice that number, and he filled the space between earth and heaven with his energy. He was like that. And when he was those austerities, by those austerities he became like Brahman himself. That is Parabrahma. He was in that form. So tato Vishveshwaram Yoni Vishwasya Jagadapadim Dadarsha Bhrushat Durdasham Sarvadever Apishwaram Aniyasam Aniyamsam Brahadrishya Brahadbrishcha Brahataram Rudram Isharam Rushabham Chekitanam Ajamparam. So then at that time, that Narayana Rishi who was doing that austerities there, he sees the master, the origin, the Vishveshwara. He sees him. He sees the Yoni. He is the origin of everything, and he sees the Vishwasya Jagatapadim. He sees the Lord or the guardian of this entire universe, and then he sees the Lord of all the devatas, and that Paramatma. He sees himself, who is exceedingly difficult to being looked at, and who is minuter than the minutest and larger than the largest. He sees who is known as Rudra, the terrible one. He sees him, that Narayana says. गच्छतस्तिष्ठतो वापि सर्वभूता हृदिस्थितं दुर्वारणं दूदृशं दिग्ममन्युं महात्मनं सर्वहरं प्रचेतसं दिव्यं चापं विशुधि चादधानं हिरण्यवर्णाम् अनन्तवीर्यं पिनाकिनीं वज्रणं दीप्तशूलं परश्वधिं गदिनं स्वायासितं. So he sees who is the Lord of all the superior ones, who is called Hara and who is called Shambhu, who is having this matted locks on his head. He is having this jeta on his head, who is the Lord, who is the infuser of life into every form, who is the first of the cause among all the immobile and mobile things, who is irresistible and frightful in aspect, who is fierce, who is of fierce wrath, anger, and who is of great soul, who is the Paramatma, and who is all the destroyer, Sarvaharam, and he is Prachetasam, who is of large heart and who is bears the celestial bow and couple of quivers, Divyam Chapam Ishdi Chadadanam. So, and then who is of golden armor, Hiranya Varnam Anantaviryam. So, and he is also energy of infinite energy, and who holds that Pinaka bow, so Pinakinam, Vajranam, Deepta Shulam. So he is who is armed with Vajra, and he is holding this blazing Shula. So Shula is like a lance. Okay, so and if that has one sharp tip like this, so it has that, and if it has three tips like that, then it's called Trishula. Okay, so he's holding the Shula, and he's holding Parashvadim, Gadinam. So he's holding battle axe, mace, and a large sword. He's holding those things. So then this Narayana, again, he is seeing who is whom he sees this Rudra in this form. He says that Narayana is in Subram, Jata Mandala Chandramaulim, Vagrajanam, Garigam, Parikam, Dandapadam, Shubhangam, Naga Yajnopitanam, Vishwair, Ganair, Shopitam, Bhuta Sanghai. So this Narayana Rishi sees him who is of eyebrows having or fair, Subrum. So again, Bru means eyebrows. Subru means whose eyebrows are very fair or beautiful. And Jata Jata Mandala Chandramaulim, so whose locks are matted and who wields heavy short club Vajraginam, and who has moon on his forehead and who is clad in tiger skin, who is armed with Burjan and who is decked with beautiful Angadas, Shubhangam, Nagayajnovitan, who is having snakes as his sacred thread, his Upavita, um, and then who is surrounded by diverse creatures of this universe by numerous ghosts and spirits. So he is Vishwaya Ganesh Shobhidam Bhuta Sangahi. So he is having cover surrounded by those bhutas, all the creatures of this world, ghosts and spirits and everything. And that Rudra is Eki Bhutam Tapasam Sannidhanam Vayotigai Sushtatam Ishtavagbe Jalam Dilam Divam Kam Kshitam Kshitim Chandrasurya Tata Vayuvagni Pratimanam Jagatcha. So he is who is the one and who is adorable of austerities, ascetics of austerities, and who is highly adored by the person of uh, old age, venerable age, and he is the Jalam, he is the water, he is the Divam, so that is he is the heaven, he is Kam, that is sky, and he is Kshitim, Chandra Surya, so he is earth, he is Surya, he is Chandra, he is Vayu, he is Agni, and who is the measure of duration of the universe. So, and that Rudra is Nalam Drishtam Yamajam Bhinnavratam Brahmadvishagnam Amrudasya Yonim Yam Pashyanti Brahmana Sadhuvrittaha Kshine Pape Manasa Ye Vishokaha. So that persons of wicked behavior can never obtain, those people who are of wicked behavior can never obtain the sight of this unborn one. So Amradasya Yonim, so he is never born and he is the slayer of, so he is again Brahmana Sadhuvritta Kshine Papa. So Brahma Dishagnam. So he is again he is the slayer of all the haters of Brahmana, so Brahma Dushagnam, and that giver of the emancipation. He is the Amrita Yoni. So again, he is the one who gives moksha. And only Brahmanas of righteous conduct. So Yam Pashyanti Brahmana Sadhuvrittaha. So he says that the Brahmanas who are sadhus, who are of righteous conduct, when cleansed of their sins and freed from control of grief, they see him with their mind's eye. So manasaye vishoka. So yam pashyanti manasaye vishoka. So those who are freed from control of their griefs and who have pure mind, they will see in their manasa. So they will see in their manas. So they will see in their mind's eye. So they will see this through their mind's eye. So they can see that. So those brahmanas of righteous conduct who are cleansed of sins and freed from the control of griefs, and those can see this Rudra Paramatma, him, they can see him in the mind's eye. And sa tannishtas tapasa dharmam idyam tadbhakta vai vishurupam dadarsha drushta chaina vanmano buddhiraye dehai samrishtatma muvade devadevam akshamala parikshitam jyotisham paramam nidim. So this Narayana Rishi who was doing this penance austerities there, in consequence of his ascetic austerities, Narayana obtained the sight of that unfading one, the embodiment of Dharma. Dharmam, so tapasa, Dharmam medium. So he sees that embodiment of Dharma, the adorable one, the being of this universe for this form. And he seeing him, that supreme adobe of all kinds of splendor, that Deva with garland of Akshamala, so he's having that Akshas mala around his neck. Vasudeva, Narayana becomes with gratified soul. He became filled with delight, which he sought to express by words, heart, and understanding the body. So this Narayana Rishi became very much gratified seeing that Rudra, that Paramatma himself in his Vishwarupa, seeing him, he becomes very pleased after performing such a severe austerities for nearly 200,000 years performing that. Then Narayana Rishi starts praying to this Mahadeva, Shankara, Shambhu. He starts praying him. He says that, so Vyasa explaining this to Ashwatthama, he says that Tato Narayano Drushta Bhavandhe Vishwasambhuvam Varadam Charvangya Parvatya Sahitam Prabhum. So then Narayana worshipped that divine Bhagavan, uh, the first of the cause of this universe, that giver of the boons, that peasant one sporting with that fair-limbed Parvati. So Parvatya, Pruthacharvangya Parvatya Sahitam Prabhu. So that Bhagavan, he started worshipping him. He started saying that Ajam Ishanam Avyagram Karanatmanam Achyutam Abhivadyatha Rudraya Sadhyo Andhakanipatine Padmakshastam Vishwarupam Avitushtava Bhaktiman. So he says that the household being surrounded by the large band of ghost spirits and the Ajam, so that means the unborn one, that Supreme Bhagavan, Ishanam, so he is the Supreme Bhagavan, and he is the Avyagram Karanatmanam, he is the embodiment of the unmanifest and the essence of all the causes, that one of unfading power. Narayana worshipped him with Parvati. He worshipped him, and having saluted Abhivadya, so he is having saluted that Rudra, that destroyer of the Andhaka. So Rudra is the destroyer of Andhakasura. So Andhaka is again born of Rudra's anger. You can see list, come across the stories. I think it comes later in Mahabharata as well, but we see that in Shiva Purana and other Puranas. So he's born. So he was killed by Rudra or destroyed by Rudra, Shiva himself. The Narayana Rishi, with emotions filling his heart, began to praise that Virupaksham. So again, this is the beauty of calling about we call stotras, right? So when we say stotras of devatas, stotras are praising the devatas. So when we say stotras, we are effectively saying what is actually true, factually true about the devatas, right? Here, Vyasa narrating this, Narayana Rishi seeing Shiva, Vyasa narrating that he says that Shiva is Virupaksha. Virupa means abnormal and horrible, looking terrible, right? So it is disfigured or whatever you want to call, right? So Virupaksha. So he's having eyes like that. So because he got that third eye, right? So everybody got two eyes, but he got three eyes. But we are praising him, saying that he is Virupaksha. So Shiva is praised here using his characters, even though it is like this. This is similar to what we say in Ganesha, for example, right? So we say Vakratunda Mahakaya. So Vakratunda means what? He was having a Vakra. So it is trunk is very bent, and Mahakaya is very fat and like that. So we say if you say that to anybody, you are a fat person, that's a kind of insult. But for Bhagavan, when we describe him in his own form with what is true, it is considered as a stotra. Okay, so that's similar here. We see that the word used Virupaksha. So that's effectively saying that he is the three-eyed. So that third eye is referred here. So Narayana Rishi worships with emotion filled in his heart. So again, with that devotion, and he praises that destroyer of Andhaka and Virupaksha. He praises him. He says that Tatsambhuta Bhutakruto Varenya Goptaro Adhyabhavanam Purvadevaha Avishemam Dharanim Ye Abhyaksharan Pura Puranam Tabadev Srishtim Surasuran Nagarakshapiyachan Naran Suparnan Atha Gandharva Yakshan. He says, Narayana Rishi says that, O adorable one, O first of all the devatas, the creator of everything, that is the Prajapatis, who are the regents of this world and who have entered the earth, your first work had protected it before. All have sprung from you, the Devatas, Asuras, Nagas, Rakshasas, Pishachas. humans, birds, Gandharvas, Yakshas, and all the other creatures, this entire universe we know have all sprung from you. So, like this, Narayana starts, and then he says, Pradagvidan Bhuta Sangash Cha Vishwams Tat Sambhuta Vidma Sarvams Tathaiva Indrayamya Varanam Vaitapalam Palyam Maitram Trashta Karma Saumyam Cha Tubhyam Rupam Jyoti Shabda Akashavayu Sparsha Swadhyam Salilam Gandhar Urvi Kamo Brahma Cha Brahmanascha Tat Sambhuta Snatu Charishno Chedam. So he says that everything that is done for propitiating or worshipping Indra and Yama, Varuna, Kubera, Pitrus, Twastri, Soma, all this really offer to you. So this again we see in Bhagavad Gita as well, where Krishna says that whoever you worship, ultimately you are worshipping me, but you may be doing it wrong for it. Instead of directly worshipping me, you are worshipping other devatas. A similar thing here. Narayana himself says to Shiva, saying that all these people worshipping Yama, Indra, Agni, Varuna, Kubera, Pitru, Vishwakarma, Surya, so Chandra, whoever it is they are of worshipping, all that is offered to you. The form, the light, sound, sky, wind, touch, taste, water, scent, earth, time, Brahma himself, and the Vedas, the Brahmanas, all these mobile objects, all have sprung from you. All these have come from you. Everything, all this created from you. And the vapors arising from diverse receptacles of water, becoming raindrops, which falling upon the earth, are separated from one another just like that. So that we are separated here. And then he says, अद्यस्तोक्ता यान्ति यथा पृथक्त्वं ताभिश्चैक्यं संक्षिते यान्ति भूय एवं विद्वान् प्रभुवं चाप्य अयं च हित्वा भूतानां तत्र सायुज्यं येति दिव्यावृतो मानसो द्वौ सुपर्णा अवाख्याख पिप्पलः सप्तलो गोपाः दशाप्य अन्ये ये पुरं धारयन्ति त्वया सृष्टास्तेहि tebhya parastudam. So he says that when the time of the universal dissolution, the pralaya comes, those individual drops is separated from one another. Just like so the water from the ocean evaporates and goes and collects and then falls of the rain. Just like that, when this pralaya comes, those individual drops separated from one another once more unite together and make the earth one vast expanse of water. And he that is one that is learned, thus observing the origin and destruction of all the being, understands your oneness. So that is again talking about the Advaita here. So everything is in him, that Paramatma, that Shiva, it is in him. Narayana Rishi says that like that. And he says two birds, that is Ishvara and Jiva, the Paramatma and Jivatma, the four Ashwatthas with their worldly branches. So again, we see in Bhagavad Gita as well, right? So Urdhvamulam, Adashakam, Ashwattham, Prapuram. So same thing here mentioned here. So the Ashwatthas with the worldly branches, like Vedas, the seven guardians, and then that is like the five essences or the elements of the heart, and the understanding, and the 10 other that hold this city, that is this body, and the 10 senses that constitute this body, all have been created by you. But you are separate from and independent of them. So you are not attached to this body or anything. You are the separate, and you are this Jivatma and Paramatma. You are that Aikya is mentioned here. That unity is mentioned here. And Narayana Rishi says that Bhutam Bhavyam Bhavita Chapya Adrishyam Tat Tvat Sambhuta Bhuvana Niha Vishwa Bhaktam Chamam Bhajamanam Bhajasva Mam Ririsho Mam Ahita Hitena. He says that the past, the future, the present, Bhutam Bhavyam Bhavita, over each of which no one can have any sway. or from you, as also the seven worlds and this universe, none of them can have it. I am the destroyer. So, and then he says that I am your devoted adorer. Be gracious unto me. Bhaktam cha mam bhajavanam bhajasva. So he says that I am your devoted adorer. Be gracious me. Do not injure me by causing evil thoughts to penetrate my heart. So just always make sure, Bhagavan, that I always worship you. So Atmanam Tvam Atmano Anyabhavo Vidvam Eva Gacchate Brahma Shukram Astosham Tvam Tava Sammanam Ichan Vichinvan Vai Savrasham Devavarya Sudarlaban Dehi Varan Mameshtan Abhishtatu Pratikashi Cha Mam. So he says that you are this Atmano Anyabhava. So Atmanam Tvam Atmano. He says that you are the Atma of all the Atmas. So you are Paramatma, incapable of being known. He that knows you as the universal seed. So you are the Brahma Shukram. So you are the universal Shukram. You are the that creator of everything. Such a person attains Brahma. So that means such a person attains that jnana, Brahma jnana, and he attains moksha. And desiring to pay your respects, desiring to pay you the respects, I am praising you, endeavoring to ascertain your real nature. Oh, that you are incapable of being understood by the Devatas, like this Narayana says. And then he says, adored by me, grant me the boons I desired, but which are difficult of acquisition. Do not hide yourself in your illusion. So, like this, he prays Narayana Rishi. So, again, Narayana Rishi, Narayana himself, taken birth as the son of Dharma. So, then he does this severe austerities for 66,000 years, and then twice that number, subsisting only on the air, standing on with his arms upraised. He does that austerities, and then Shiva himself, Paramatma himself comes, and that Paramatma Rupa, we have seen the form, we have seen, and then Narayana Rishi describes him again, praise him, offers his prayers. So Vyasa continued, and he says that that Nilakanta, that blue-throated Bhagavan, who is of inconceivable Atma, he is the that Paramatma, that Pinaki, that wielder of Pinakabo, that divine Bhagavan, always praised by the rishis. Then he gave the boon to Vasudeva, who deserved them all. So Vyasa says that Shankara himself, Mahadeva himself, gave boons to Narayana. And Mahadeva says that, O Narayana, through my grace among men, Devatas, and Gandharvas, you shall be the immeasurable, you shall be of immeasurable might and soul. So there won't be anybody equal to you among men, Devatas, Gandharvas, or anybody you want. Neither Devatas, nor Asuras, nor the great Uragas, the snakes, or Pishachas, nor the Gandharvas, nor men, or nor Rakshasas, or nor birds, nor Nagas, nor any creature in the universe shall be able to bear your prowess. No one among even the Devata celestials shall be able to vanquish you in the battle. Through my grace, no one shall ever be able to cause you pain by weapon of Vajra or any other object that is wet or dry or with any mobile or immobile thing. So you shall be superior to myself if you ever go to battle against me. So Mahadeva blessing Narayana here, he says that nobody will be able to, nothing in this universe will be able to defeat you. You will have such a strength, and nobody will be able to cause you any pain. And even if you come to battle against me, you will be victorious. You will be superior to me. So, like this, Mahadeva blesses him. And Vyasa continues, and he says that, like that, those boons were acquired by Shauri Narayana in the olden days. Even that Devana Narayana himself now walks on this earth as Vasudeva, and through his mayas, he is walking through here in this earth as in the name of Vasudeva. From Narayana's asceticism, was born that great Muni of Nara, who is equal to Narayana himself. And you should know, Ashwatthama, this Arjuna is none other than Nara himself. So we see, again, we have seen this many times before as well, Nara Narayana stories, right? So in Mahabharata, so Vyasa once again reminds Ashwatthama that Narayana Rishi himself is Krishna, and the other son of Dharma born through Narayana, as equal to Narayana himself, is Nara. And that Nara is none other than Arjuna. And those two rishis, Nara and Narayana, are said to be older than the oldest of the Devatas, and they take birth in every yuga. So this is again Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Yada yada dharmasya glanirvati bharata, the famous shloka. So Vyasa also says here that Nara and Narayana, they take birth in every yuga for serving the purpose of this world. So purposes of this world, they take birth every yuga. And Vyasa also tells Ashwatthama here that yourself also has been born as a portion of Rudra. So you are not an ordinary person. You are also a portion of Rudra. So again, we saw this in the Adi Parva itself, right? Who was born and how they were born. So Ashwatthama is born as a portion of Rudra, and Vyasa tells him, Ashwatthama, that you are also a portion of Rudra, and by the virtue of your religious actions, karmas you performed, the dharmika karmas you performed, and as a consequence of highest ascetic austerities you performed previously, uh, with great energy, you have this great energy and this anger in you because you are the portion of Rudra. And you were in the former lives, in the previous life, you were endued with great wisdom, jnana, and you are equal to a devata at that time. And regarding this universe consists only of Mahadeva, you had emancipated yourself by diverse type of woes from desire of obtaining that Mahadeva himself, and assuming the form of very superior person that blazes forth with splendor, you have given away, worshipped on that great Bhagavan Mahadeva with mantras, with homa, with offerings and things like that you have done in the previous life. And like that, you are adored by you in your previous life, that Mahadeva became very much gratified with you, and he granted numerous boons, O Ashwatthama, that you cherished in your heart. So those boons were granted by Mahadeva himself. Just like Krishna and Arjuna's birth, uh, just like that, your birth, karma, actions, and the ascetic austerity is also superior. So again, Vyasa says he compares Krishna and Arjuna, Narayana and Nara. So just like their birth story you heard, just like that your austerities in the previous birth also is great, superior, just like that, and that's why you have this born as a portion of Rudra. You have that Rudra's energy in you, and like them, in your worship, you have in every yuga adored that Mahadeva in his linga form. So you worship that linga of Mahadeva in every yuga you have worshipped. Krishna is that devoted to worshipper of Rudra. So Krishna is always devoted to those who worship Rudra himself, and those who have sprung from Rudra himself. And so because why Krishna worships or devotes those who worship Rudra is because Vyasa says that Keshava Rudra Sambhava. So he says that Krishna has born or sprung from Rudra himself. So this is again important here because we see a lot of Vaishnavas and Shaivas and each one saying, I'm superior, I'm superior. Here again, we see again, Rudra here is not just Rudra, is we are saying, as we looked at just now, it is Paramatma himself, right? So there is no difference between Krishna and Rudra or Mahadeva and Narayana. So both are same. Again, we've seen this many times throughout this Mahabharata sessions. And once again, Vyasa reminds here that there is no difference between Vishnu and Shiva or Narayana and Mahadeva or Shankara, Shiva, whatever you want to call, name we want to call, right? It's all are same. So Keshava Rudra Sambhava. So the Keshava here is referred as Krishna is form of his born as Rudra himself has taken born as Keshava, Krishna. And Keshava always worships Shiva regarding that Linga, Shiva Linga, to be the origin of this universe. Like this, Krishna always worships Shiva. And in Krishna is always present that knowledge, that jnana, in consequence of which he views the identity of Brahman, the Paramatma, with this universe, and that the other jnana, which is past, present, and future, the near, the remote, all are seen as if the whole or everything is before his eyes. So he knows everything, that Keshava, because he has that Brahma jnana. And the Devatas, the Siddhas, the Maharishis, all of them adore Keshava for obtaining the highest object of this universe. He is the highest object of this universe. All of them adore him, and all of them adore Mahadeva himself. And Keshava is the creator of everything. The eternal Krishna should be adored with sacrifices, like this Vyasa says. And he says that Krishna always worships Shiva in the Linga form as the origin of all the creatures, and the Devatas having the Bhagavan having Nandi as his mark, Nandi as his dwaja, cherishes the greater regard for Keshava. So again, Shiva loves Keshava, Keshava worships Shiva. So there is no difference between them. There is no, if one says one is superior, that's fine. One should not see another one as inferior. That's the message here. So Vyasa, like this, narrates the uh, Krishna Arjuna why they were not killed when the Agneya weapon was released, because Krishna and Arjuna, none other than Narayana and Nara, the great rishis, were Narayana himself, taken birth like that. And he also reminds Ashwatthama that you are Rudra's form, you are no different to them. So don't get involved in this kind of battles. That's the message Vyasa gives. And Sanjaya continues this narration to Dhritarashtra. He says that hearing those words of Vyasa, Drona's son Ashwatthama, the Maharati, bowed down to Rudra and regarded Keshava as worthy of highest regard. So he thinks mentally of Krishna as well and worships Krishna. And having his mind under full control, he became filled with delight. He and then and that happiness was seen all over his body. And moving on to Vyasa, Ashwatthama then returns to that Kuru army, because if you remember, he was battling and he seeing Krishna Arjuna surviving the Agni weapon. He left the battlefield and went to Saraswati River, where banks where Vyasa was there, and he sees Vyasa. Right. So after listening to all this from Vyasa, he returns to this battlefield, and by that time it was evening, and all of them withdraw from the battlefield. So then, like this, Sanjaya says that after the fall of Drona, this slaughter of Drona, the cheerless Kuru army, they retired from the field, from the battlefield. Pandavas also made sure that their army is withdrawn from the battlefield. Like this, having fought for 5 days, 5 full days, with causing immense carnage, the Brahmana, who is well versed in the Vedas, that is the Drona, he left this world and went to Brahma's region. He went to Brahmaloka. Like this, Sanjaya concludes that 15th day's battlefield. Again, just to summarize, 15th day started with Drona battling, and then Pandava separating Drona from rest of the Kurus. Krishna giving the idea that Ashwatthama should be killed, then only Drona will drop the weapons, and Bhima kills the elephant named Ashwatthama, and then we see that Yudhishthira confirms to Drona's question that Ashwatthama has been killed. Ashwatthama named elephant has been killed. And Drona then releases the Brahmastra against the Panchalas angrily, and then those warriors who did not know these power of these or releasing or withdrawing any of those celestial weapons, they were punished by Drona, breaking his own vow that he will not release weapons on those who are not who do not have the knowledge of those weapons. So like this, Drona does, and then finally he gives up. His Drishtadyumna reaches him. At that time, he gives up his weapons, and Drishtadyumna kills. Ashwatthama gets angry. He releases Narayana weapon, and Krishna baffles that by asking all the Pandavas to drop their weapons. So again, Drona died around when third part of the day was finished, around 11 o'clock, let's say in the morning, and then Pandavas, Kauravas, everybody regroups. Ashwatthama comes to battle probably after midday, and then the battle Ashwatthama battles, right? So we saw that Ashwatthama's Narayana weapon, and then him defeating Drishtadyumna, Satyaki, Bhima, and everybody, and then Arjuna comes, and Arjuna uh, Krishna survives that Agneya weapon, and then this Vyasa's discussion where we start this Shata-Rudriyam Samhita. So, like this, the battle takes place, and then Dhritarashtra, listening to this, asks when that Drona was killed by Drishtadyumna, what did my sons and Pandavas next to Sanjaya? Continues his narration. He says that Kuru army, when that Drona was killed by Drishtadyumna, they Arjuna, seeing the wonderful phenomenon he sees in connection with his own victory, he asks Vyasa, who happened to come to that place at that time in the evening. So at that time, Arjuna asks Vyasa about a wonderful phenomenon he saw in the battlefield. He says that, "O great Rishi, while I was engaged in the battlefield in killing all those Kauravas with my arrows, I continuously saw before me, proceeding in front of me, in front of my chariot, a person of blazing color, and he was endued with great effulgence of Agni himself, fire himself. And wherever I went, with uh, he went ahead of me with uplifting his shula, holding his shula, he went ahead, and all the warriors on the opposite side, our enemy's side, they were seen to break before him. As he went ahead of me, as he was going, all of them were dying, all of them were getting killed. And even though people thought that I was releasing the arrows and killing them, people thought that the enemy was broken down by me and my arrows. I only destroyed those who were already destroyed by him. And tell me, who was that great person who was armed with that shula, resembling like Surya himself with that energy, who was seen by me in the battlefield? न पद्भ्याम स्पृश्यते भूमिम न च शूलम विमुच्यते शूलः सहस्राणि निष्पेतुस् तस्य तेजसा. Arjuna says that he did not touch the earth with his feet, and nor he did hurl his lance even once. So his shula, he did not even hurl once. But from his shula, there were thousands of shulas were coming out, and they were killing the enemy. And people were thinking that my arrows were killing the enemy, but actually it is those shulas that's coming from his own shula, which he was holding in his hand. He was walking, he was going in front of me without touching the earth. Who is that? So Arjuna, like this, asked that question to Vyasa, who happened to come that evening on the 15th day, end of the 15th day. And Vyasa narrates who that is, and we will look at that next time when we gather. Thank you. Any questions?